This Daytona 500 DFS Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play Underdogs Pick'em for a chance to win 100 times your money. Promo code SGPN at UnderdogFantasy.com for a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by us. Enter our free Daytona 500 contest for the chance to win $100 cash and a $100 SGPN gift card at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Daytona.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
We have done nothing but talk racing things all day long. It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He is the USA Today author and renowned NASCAR expert, Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez. Cody, we have just jumped off of other shows. We are now on our show. It's good to be home, but it's fantastic because tonight, Cody, the trucks take the
truck night in America. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm so excited. Trucks are taking center stage tonight. The weather looks good. This might be the only race this week that the weather does look good for, but we're going to get it in. It's going to be exciting. We're going to see Corey LaJoie in victory lane to start the weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm pumped. I'm excited. It has been a busy week. It has been a busy day. Man, all over the place. And that's how you know it's here. The Daytona 500. Everybody's buzzing. Shows that don't normally talk NASCAR, talking NASCAR. It's a beautiful thing. Welcome in. We're excited to have you here. Going to build some Millie Maker lineups today. Try and take down the big one. I don't know if you know this, Rod. We do have a former Daytona 500 Millie Maker winner in our Discord. He won it in 2022. I won't give out his name, but he is in there. So pretty awesome there. And let's fucking go, baby.
Let's go. Hey, yes, Rod and Cody are live. Justin checking in from the Old Fashioned. We're here for it.
Hey, Miranda.
Hey, hi, Miranda. Apologies for the late start.
Whenever Old Fashioned comments, everybody assumes it's Justin. Whenever NASCAR Gambling Podcast comments, everybody assumes it's me.
I love it. No, apologies for the late start if you were waiting on us. Again, Cody was on earlier with I'll let him plug the show in here a second, but I had just gotten off the back road with Seth and Brian Twining, which, by the way, go back and check out that show. Fantastic. I love Brian. That's the first time we've ever met face to face. So we talked.
He's a guy we need to have on this show for sure.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. So just got off the back road with Seth and Brian. So had some fun there. Make sure you go check that out on In Between Media's YouTube page as well. But yeah, Cody, like you said, it has been an absolutely busy week. Speed weeks are done. The duels are done. The field is set. Truck just qualified. Johnny Sauter's on the front row. Let's go.
How about that?
I'm telling you right
Hunter
now.
Boyd made the show. Let's go.
Exciting times ahead. But like Cody said, this is the DFS episode. If you made it through the week, this is the payoff. This is the DFS episode. Now we actually know where drivers are starting. Most times we don't necessarily know. When we do a DFS episode,
pretty much every time we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But this time we do. So it's a little exciting. Just like Cody said, we're going to build you some Millie Maker lineups and try to get you through it. This will be a little bit of a departure from our normal DFS show. Our normal DFS show will usually pick a driver from the higher range, the lower range, and the the mid-range there to kind of get you your lineup, but not necessarily give you a lineup. In this case, what the hell? We know where everybody's starting. We're going to just toss out some names and build some lineups and go from there. Hopefully have a little fun along the way because God damn, it's Daytona. It's Daytona, Cody. This is it. We're here.
Exactly. Old-fashioned football. DFS is the best because you get to see the little upside-down car. Unfortunately, that's not what you want to see, but at Daytona, you're going to see that. Nick pointing out that it's not Mersh. She hasn't replied back to Cody in 3 weeks or more. I will say Miranda has been doing a very good job in the new year of actually texting back. So shout out to her, Justin. Make sure you pass that along.
Hey, in our group chat too. I saw
she's been in the group chat. She's actually checking her texts. It's crazy. DJ, my first year for NASCAR DFS. Happy to have found the channel. Welcome. Happy to have you. We're glad to be here. Going to be exciting. I'm so pumped. Rod, couple of quick notes. Just real fast as far as today goes. Chris Buescher will not be. NASCAR Cup Series guys are practicing right now. Chris Buescher not in that practice, so won't be listed there. He's flown home. Wife is having their son. He's going to fly back. If you believe in scripts, I'd maybe look into betting on Chris Buescher because have the baby. We've seen the baby bump how many times before it happens. So was that the Lord Jesus Savior himself, SVG. Sorry, Chris. I'm trying not to say negative things about him, but he doesn't call. Okay, so first of all, let me back up. The ARCA race has been moved from tomorrow to today. It's going to be tonight after the truck race, FS2, so you can watch that on the Fox Sports app or whatever after the truck race. So make sure you tune into that. Also, Hard Rock has outrights available for that, so get in the Discord because we'll have some plays on that. But SVG does not qualify into that. And then the number 7 team withdrew from Trackhouse's bank account. Withdrew from the race and is not going to be competing. So SVG will be in the ARCA race now. So I thought that was kind of funny, but it's good. He'll get his work in there. So I think that's really all the big news stuff. I think.
Outside of what we'll talk about as we start building these lineups for sure. There's been plenty of news over the last couple of days, but we'll touch on all of that as we start filling out the
also
DFS lineups.
Shout out to the chat, Fantasy Racing Cheat Sheets in here. FRCS. They got some good info. Make sure you're checking them out. DJ says love the Discord group chat too. That is that's been hopping and popping lately. Last night during the duels, it was on fire. That's just going to continue to escalate throughout the weekend. So love that. Preston showing up, our guy, late to the stream, but what's up? What's up,
Preston? Hey, even I popped into the Discord last night. I was like, I didn't even
got the Rod appearance.
somebody actually gave me directions to the Discord, and I was like, all right, let's go. I can talk. I love it. All right, so let's do this. Let's step away for a quick second. We're going to come back and we're going to start building these lineups. And again, as we go through, we'll talk about what happened over the last couple of days because it is definitely relevant as to how we build these lineups. So let's tell you first that time is running out, everybody, to enter our Daytona 500 contest. You pick the winner of that. You subscribe to our YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you're already subscribed, still take that screenshot, put it out there on the form. You can find that. If you are going to enter, do it now. Now that we actually know too who's going to start up front, it makes it a little bit easier. So if you do all of the things and all the steps that it takes, the grand prize winner is going to win $100 and a $100 SGPN merch gift card. The best part about all this, guys, it's free. It's free to enter. All you got to do is just be subscribed. Or if you're not subscribed already, if you're listening to this on the traditional podcast form, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Look, we've been having a blast going live with this, man. We've been having fun talking to you guys. And of course, we have not gone away from our traditional podcast form. So continue to support us that way. But, find us on YouTube because then you can see all the silly stuff that happens when we hold up Corey LaJoie's picture or when my screen goes black when we talk about stuff. And comment on my fantastic closet doors, whatever you want to do. But make sure you go into that contest. It is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Daytona. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Daytona. Underdog Fantasy has been great enough to give us NASCAR again this season, and they've got a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long, whether it's NBA, NHL, college basketball, NASCAR, F1, whatever it is. Simply pick higher or lower or better or worse than your favorite players' fantasy stats. You can cash in You can also win 100x with some spicy plays. You want some underdog plays? Go back a couple days in the feed. You will find all of our favorite underdog fantasy plays for this Daytona 500. Watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up right now with the promo code RACESGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code RACESGPN. All right, Cody. Well, it is, of course, the Daytona 500. It is the DFS episode. So that means we are going to give you the prices, the drivers, and everybody that we think is going to do well for you on these lineups. We will warn you a couple of different things on super speedways. Okay, one, do not watch this live. The race, watch live. Do not watch your line
unless you need your workout in for the weekend, because it
swear
will get
to
your heart
God,
rate going.
What I want to see, listen, if you watch this thing live, if you're keeping up with it, I
need to get a heart rate monitor like
That's
they
what
wear
I'm
in the
saying.
cars sometimes, and like just watch, because I cannot help it, Rod. I'm sitting there pulling down the tab, refreshing the thing, and it's changing. I mean, changing by thousands of dollars at points in a span of a half a lap. It's insane.
Yeah, we want screenshots of your heart rate as you watch this thing go, because yeah, that's what you're going to be watching. And then just like Justin said earlier, these upside down red cars, you're going to see quite a few of them, unfortunately. Hopefully not too many in your lineups, but at the same time, be ready for it.
Yeah, and just to touch on how to do this, right? There's no perfect science for super speedway DFS. You can leave. I mean, I've already built a few lineups playing around. I've left $10,000 on the table. I mean, you do not need to spend. A lot of times, it's not a full priced lineup that you're doing for this. You want to play a lot of place differential, but you don't want to get too chalky, right? There's going to be some guys that are going to take all the chalk. You're going to want to roll the dice on some people like some Larsons in bigger contests if you're looking at going after the milli makers, because I'm out here saying to fucking stay away from Kyle Larson, and people are going to, because he sucks at these, but in the case that he does hit one, maybe you do it there, right? So, and don't be scared to play a Joey Logano. I heard you guys talk about that on the back road earlier. He starts first, and that's really scary. Nobody's going to be playing him because he starts first. If he happens to win this race, lead a ton of laps, he could pay off. Now, he's got a really, really low ceiling, right? It's through the floor because he can go backwards 39 spots. But again, you want to try and craft, who you think is going to make it through the race, who you think is not going to wreck, because 99% of winning these DFS games at the Daytona 500 is just not having flipped over red cars at the end of the day, because we saw it last night, right? There was only half the field was racing, and half the field got wiped out in one wreck, and they weren't even racing for the Daytona 500. Imagine what it's going to look like come Sunday or Monday, or that's the other thing too with this weather. Hearing some rumors that might get Monday night primetime 500, which I'd be okay with. It'd be nice if they slide it later in the day. So we'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, you can watch the Discord as well. We'll keep everybody up to date. But yeah.
I said in the Discord too last night, we're watching pack racing without the pack. That was like half of the entire field was gone after that second dual wreck. And it
almost looked like the end of that Daytona regular season race, not in 22, where Austin Dillon, everybody wrecked in the rain. And then, there was like 6 cars left on the lead lap at the end of the race.
They were all just sort of trying to pack together.
And half of them were like super damaged.
It's so true. And then look so you've had the instance too where your daughter loves to pick super speedway DFS. She'll pick it out of a hat. Preston here says
this will be the lucky hat right here. We're gonna be doing that probably this evening and tomorrow. She'll be drawing. Again, I just put all the car numbers for everybody that's in the race. Put them in the hat. Let her pick the lineup. Don't question it. Put the lineup in. Telling you it's won me money before. So as much as there is some strategy to it that we're about to get into, there's also a lot of randomness in it like that.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about it too. You can have lineups that you would never have on any other given track. Like Preston says, set a wheel with every car number, insert car numbers by the wheel, and pray.
I might take Steven's advice always in the Discord. He shows his daughter all the pictures of the cars paints for the week. I might go through and have my daughter pick out her favorite paint schemes and put together a paint scheme lineup.
I love it. All right. Well, then speaking of lineups, Cody, let's go ahead and put together a Millie Maker lineup. I'll defer to you since you're the one with the big day today. Listen, just real quick. I know Cody's too humble to say anything about it, but go check out Cody's appearance on the USA Today. It's on his Twitter. I think he put it in the Discord as well. Cody has been quoted by the USA today and has been on a show already talking about Daytona. So the ambassador of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, the ambassador of this show, man, I love it, Cody. I love to watch this crush it.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a day, and just like everybody who follows this, thank you so much. We're 60 some episodes into this. Like, we've done a lot of episodes. It's continued to grow. We're on the YouTube now. Obviously, that continues to grow. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all the numbers and everything, and that's leading us to more opportunities. So yeah, it's been a hell of a day. Started the morning out with the guys from the Sports Gambling Podcast on VSiN this morning. Woke up before work time, jumped on early. They were hosting the morning show, so jumped on with them. And then came up that USA Today, my article was quoted. My article for the sportsgamblingpodcast.com was quoted in the USA Today, which was pretty cool to be in the USA Today, of course. And then I got a chance to go on You Better You Bet over on they're on Twitch and Sirius and all kinds of places you can find that. So I shared the link for that on both my X and in the Discord if you want to go back and listen to it. That was a pretty fun show to jump on and be with them. Of course, you were on the back road. I was listening to that right before we got on here. It's been a day. I hit 1,000 followers on the X today, so I feel like it's kind of like that first big number. So here we go. Celebration
day. So, all right, let's start building some lineups, shall we?
Let's do it. Also, just to catch up on the chat, because we love the chat. Matthew, Toyota's looking nice. A few extra cars this year helps too. Well, buddy, they didn't look good in qualifying. They sure looked good in them duels last night, didn't they? Mm-hmm. 9 cars this year. They all made it into the 500. JJ made the show by the. Whew, that was close. So yeah, that was good to see. But Preston commenting on the new background, loves it. Rod did a hell of a job with that. Brian, who was on the back road with you, what's up, gents? Just need to meet Cody. Yes, we were just actually talking about we need to have you on the show, so we'll get that done pretty soon. All right, Rod, let's dig into it. Let's take a look. I don't know how you want to go about this.
So here's what I was thinking, because obviously, like I said, this will be a little different than how we approach it normally, because we normally have drivers that we've picked out that we like at each price point. But let's just do this. Let's take a stab at the top of the chart here and talk about which drivers we think are worth putting in and which things we're going to stay away from. So we'll sort of take that high price jump, and really the first, I'd say 4 drivers, maybe let's go down to the 9,000 range. So we've got Hamlin at 10,000.
Skip over everybody at the top.
No,
you want to start? I
start at the top. Yeah,
I misunderstood you. Sorry.
So we got Hamlin at 10,000. He's starting 8th. Blaney starting 32nd at 98. Busch starting 34th at 97. Okay, let's just start with those top.
Let's start. Yeah. Okay, so Blaney and Busch are going to be the 2 chalkiest drivers in the entire field, and there's 2 ways this can go. Right? They're going to be extremely chalky. So if you're trying to win the Millie, I probably wouldn't play them because everyone's going to have them. Now that could backfire on you, of course, if they hit. But they're going to be very popular. So just keep that in mind if you're going in the bigger lineups. Also, though, extremely high ceilings on both these drivers. Blaney is one of the best super speedway guys. I think Kyle Busch is going to win this race. So we know how good they can do. They've got a lot of place differential to get you. They can still get you a lot of other points. So you can really make the case both ways. The floor is very high on them as well. They don't have very far to go backwards. So even if they do wreck, they're not going to cost a lot, which sometimes is better than the opposite. So they can be played, but they will be popular. Just keep that in mind. Denny Hamlin, however, starting in 8th place, I think he's going to be a lot less popular because he's starting so high. Again, the floor is going to be lower because he can go from 8th to 40th, we know, but he's also probably the best super speedway driver in the field. He's won 3 Daytona 500s before. I don't want to keep pushing this 2022 or this 2020 narrative, Rod, but so far everything has gone exactly the same way as 2020. Jordan Bianchi just released the numbers for last night's last night's duels. Was the highest since 2020, and Denny Hamlin won the 500 in 2020. So I'm not saying the whole year is just on repeat after the Chiefs beat the 49ers and everything. Same presidential race. There's like a million other things that are going the same direction, but that's something to note as well.
Yeah, of those 3, I think I said it on the back road earlier too, where Denny Hamlin could be one of the. I know it's 10,000. I know that it's a lot to throw out
but
there.
The price doesn't matter because you're going to end up getting so many lower guys that you can spend. And 10,000, really, I mean, that's not even that high of a price for they know that you're just going to play everyone. So it doesn't like pricing pricing means nothing in DFS this week. It really is almost, they almost don't even need it. It should just be a pick six, like just pick six drivers.
Yeah, and it really, again, it's just like the whose line is it anywhere? Yeah, whose
I
line?
was trying to remember. Is it six?
where the points don't matter, and it's just everybody. It's a free for all, and really, again, you can fit almost anybody in here at this level as well. So okay, give me Denny Hamlin. If we're building a Millie Maker, give me Denny Hamlin.
All right, we'll start with Denny. I like that.
We'll start with Denny. Now let's go into the Kyle Larson's starting 17th at 9,500. Cody, you want all of Kyle Larson, so I'm going to put him in there. Chase Elliott starting in 5th. He's at 9,400. Logano on the pole at 9,200. And Keselowski at 9,000. We'll throw in his teammate Buescher. Keselowski 16th, Buescher 19th. Keselowski at 9,000, Buescher at 8,800. Any of those guys find a home in your Millie Maker lineup?
So, I mean, even Kyle Larson, like, it's hard to say don't play anyone. And I don't think I will say don't play anyone, because really anyone has the opportunity, right? And Kyle Larson, we've seen it before. He's been really good at these super speedways. He just doesn't finish, and that's why the rule is there. I'm sorry, Chris. I know you don't like it, but that's the rules. The rules are there because of the statistics. But if you think it's his week, again, I think he'll be a little less popular. Elliott at 5th is probably going to be, he's an interesting case because you get the popularity bump, but also he's starting 5th, but great at super speedways. He's won at Daytona before, doesn't have the 500. That'd be a great story. Logano, we kind of touched on before. He's going to be very not rostered. He's going to be very, very low rostership. But like you guys talked about on the back road, if he can go out and just lead a bunch of laps, kind of play the Pied Piper up front, ends up finishing the race in the top 5 or something, he's going to pay off big time. So again, if you're looking for long shots, as far as the DFS game goes, he could be kind of one of them. Keselowski and Buescher, I think, will both be more popular, right? Everybody kind of expects them to do well. They're starting far enough back, 16th and 19th, that people won't be deterred from their starting spots. I think those guys are going to be popular. And I don't know. I'm just not feeling the RFK guys as much this week.
I'm not feeling them in that I think they're going to win. I think they'll probably get some good finishes. But for DFS purposes, I don't know.
But does anything else really? I mean, so DFS wise, right? Of course, there's laps led, but those get so spread out. Fastest laps, the guy running 40th can run the fastest lap because of the way the track is set up. So hard to measure that. Keselowski has led laps the last 2 years, so there's that. He doesn't always finish the race, so there's also that. He's been extremely good. They're going to be popular. I don't know. I'd probably rather pass on all these for this lineup. I think I'd rather pass on all these guys.
Yeah, I the only one that I would feel like I would want to put in is Logano from that standpoint. But yeah, I think you're right. I think you can leave for a Millie Maker. I don't know that Logano is going to be good for you in that instance. So all right, we'll pass on all of those drivers, but we won't pass on the opportunity to tell you about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool. You're going to get hit rates broken down by leg as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, let's move into the next tier of drivers then, since we left off with the RFK guys. Now we're getting into some really interesting choices. You got William Byron at 18th at 8,700. You got Bubba Wallace starting 21st.
Bubba Wallace goes in the lineup.
That's already there. That's another. And again, for the same reason that we put a guy like Denny Hamlin, and you gotta give a guy like Bubba an opportunity.
Nobody is better than Bubba on these. He's got the best finish, average finish. Multiple different ways you look at it, right? Lately here at Daytona, he's good. He's starting 24th. That offers a lot of place differential for you. It is, one of the strategies is to load up on manufacturers, right? So you kind of make a Toyota lineup. So maybe that's what we're leaning for this one. We started with Denny. We started with Bubba. Those two guys are going to work together. Denny owns Bubba's car. Bubba works for Denny. they are going to work together. If they are together at the end of this race, they'll push each other. And they, I think they both want to win on their own, but they're probably not going to Penske it like happened back in 2021. Twinning says Bubba's going to win. I agree. I gave Bubba out as one of my outright plays earlier this week. So yeah, I do love putting Bubba Wallace in here. I think he's a really solid play that's going to be in. Again, you don't want to have one person in all your lineups because that could tank it if they wreck. But he's a guy I'm going to be looking at a lot. He's one of those controversial guys, right? So some people are going to play him, some aren't. I think he'll get a fair share of rostership this week.
And honestly, again, he didn't have the same sort of luxuries that the guys, the Toyotas in Group 1 had, right? He was in the second one, and he had to watch the first duel happen. So I think once he gets linked up with his Toyota buddies, got 9 of them now, it's going to be a different story. So and I love the fact that he's 24th with 85.
Toyotas looked fast. I don't know if you saw them duels last night, but holy shit, they looked good in the duel races.
Yeah, you can't ignore that. That's one of the things where that last night just sort of smacked your face.
Could make these guys more popular, so keep that in mind too, of course. But man, they looked really good.
All right, well then, how about another one? Christopher Bell in 4th place at 8,300. Does he interest you at all?
I think kind of he does in the fact that he's going to be very low. He might be one of the lowest rostered guys. Yeah, he won yesterday, so you get that, but he's not traditionally your wife in the chat agreeing with Cody. I don't know what she agrees with me on, but thank you. Shout out to Linda.
She probably agrees with you for everything because she knows it's me. Like that's the way it works.
Rod's always wrong is what I assume.
No, listen, my wife agrees with Cody, and she's a smart woman because Cody's the one with the USA Today quote this morning.
But so as far as Bell goes, I think he's a really good contrarian play. I don't think you want to play Hamlin and Bell. That's a lot of guys starting up front. But I don't think that very many people are going to be on Bell just because if you're going to take someone up front, it's going to be Denny. So Bell is definitely a big contrarian pick that I think could pay off. Of course, he's a guy you talked about earlier in the week. Did you give him as an outright even? I think did. Maybe.
Him and
so, if you think that's going to happen, and maybe you can play him and Denny. Maybe everybody behind him wrecks, and it is these guys up front. It's not a crazy thing to think that happens. I don't think that we want to play him together, but definitely a guy that if you want to be different and if you want to win $1 million, you got to be different. Bell is definitely a guy to look at.
He won't make our official Millie Maker in there because I think you're right. I think we're 3 Toyotas out of 6 could be a little bit dicey. Or
maybe not.
You want to put him in there?
I don't know if you want the guy that starts 1st and 4th.
Yeah,
that's just well.
We're not. We don't have Logano in there. Remember, we didn't.
We got Denny who starts. Denny starts 8th. That's right. Yeah. So he's not. Let's put a pin in Bell. We'll consider coming back to him if we don't find other people we love.
All right. Well, I definitely Martin Truex Jr. at 27th, starting 27th at 8,200.
He's maybe worse than Larson is on these super speedways. They even mentioned on the broadcast yesterday, like, dude can't catch a break.
No,
I don't know, and I don't think people realize that as much. So maybe he'll get some play being 27th. Again, I'm not saying don't play anyone.
Yeah, they're going to see that and say, let's do it.
But you look, and he won. I think he won both stages in last year's 500 too. So it's the same thing as Larson, where he's up there all day, and then he just gets caught up in it. So you can make the case. I'm not really interested.
Yeah, me either. Chastain starting 21st at 8,100.
So I think Chastain's the guy in this area rather than Bell. Love Chastain. Gives you some place differential upside. I like him to win this race, right? I really like Chastain. He's won at Talladega before. He led a bunch of laps at Daytona in the fall. I think Chastain could be a good play. And again, he's not. There's so many really good guys that are starting so far back that the next guy we're going to talk about, Ricky Stenhouse, he's going to be extremely popular. Won last year, he's starting 35th. I think these mid-pack guys, these guys starting the 20th, might not quite get as much play.
Yeah, so I like Chastain as well. I do think that of the guys that are the Chevys that are in the back or the middle of the pack, I think he's going to be one of them that's going to be up there. And like you, Cody, I like the fact that he's starting 21st, which means he does have some place differential area. I mean, although he could be one of the guys that gets caught up in it because he's getting a little too aggressive. I don't know, but I'll still take my opportunities to take that. So, okay, we'll put Chastain in there. Let's move on to the next. We got Ricky Stenhouse. the reigning or the defending champion of this race, starting 35th at 8,000. Tyler Reddick in third at 7,800. And then we'll toss in the two Legacy Motor Club drivers, Jimmie Johnson, 23rd at 7,700. Eric Jones, starting 11th at 7,600. Any of those? Do we go after Ricky Stenhouse?
He's going to be so popular.
Yes.
He won last year. He starts 35th. He's got all this place differential. He's such he's checkers or wreckers, right? It's going to be one or the other. I'm probably not going to play a ton of him. I think he's going to be so chalky that I'm just not going to play him and be different than everyone. And if he beats me, he beats me. Oh, well. But no, I mean, again, there's a lot of upside. Obviously, he won the thing last year and he started 35th, and he won from 31st last year. So you can't do it by any means. But I don't really want to play him. When Reddick, it's kind of the same thing as Bell, right? Starting really close to the front. He's starting in third, so not a lot of upside there. Not been great at super speedways in the past. Like, he's my champion this year. I think he's going to win a ton of races. He won a duel yesterday. I don't think he's winning the Daytona 500. I don't think he's going to stay up front. So I don't love playing him. Johnson, of course, we both love him. I think he could be a really great play. Starting 23rd. That's probably not going to make him very popular because he is starting a little farther up, right? So he could definitely be a sneaky guy. And then Jones, it's kind of that same thing of good super speedway guy starting up front, not going to get a lot of play probably. So another good differential pick.
So are we picking anybody out of there? You already know my opinion, Cody. So you either.
Well, I know Rod wants to go with Jimmie Johnson.
Are we putting Jimmy in or no?
Of course. Yeah, I think he's a good play because I think he's not going to be overly popular starting in 23rd. And again, if he can get up front for you, he can finish this race, get that top 5, maybe he wins. What a story that would be. The 7-time champion. This, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe he's the first active Hall of Famer, like in the Hall of Fame, to come back and start in a Daytona 500. So yes, that is pretty cool. Yeah. Yes. And if he comes back, he wins that 84th race. Whether that ties him with Darrell Waltrip, I think he does it at the Daytona 500. My goodness. Yeah, let's play Jimmie Johnson.
Okay. I love it. All right. So let's dip down into the below Jimmie Johnson territory. You got Bowman starting 7th at 7,500. Any interest there?
Not a ton. I mean, he started on the front row the last couple of years. I don't know. Again, probably not going to be very highly rostered, right? And he's been okay, but just not super interested.
Yeah, I'm not even close to interested. Out of the three, Ty Gibbs starting 15th at 74, Austin Dillon starting 33rd at 73, and then Michael McDowell on the front row at 7,200. Any of those three pique your interest?
Gibbs, I think, won't be highly rostered because he's starting 15th. That's, again, far enough forward that it's not going to be super sexy to put into the lineups. We think he can do well. I think he's another good option for kind of a pivot play, lower rostered guy. So I'll definitely consider him at some lineups. Probably not this one, but I will be playing some Ty Gibbs for sure. When it goes to Michael McDowell, again, the same thing. He's starting on the front row. So basically, he's got to lead some laps. He's got to win the race, be up front. We know he can win the race. High risk. Probably not going to be super highly rostered because he is starting so close to the front. I need to pay attention more to the roster constructions in races like that. Do people realize you're supposed to not pick the guys up front in these, being more of the general public that plays this? But the guy I skipped over, Rod, Austin Dillon, you guys talked about him on the back road. He is my favorite DFS play for this weekend. I love Austin Dillon. He's starting 33rd. He's kind of hidden down here in the middle of the pack. I think he's going to get overlooked a lot because you've got some bigger guys starting right behind him. You've got Ricky Stenhouse right in front of him in price. People are going to scroll right past Austin Dillon. We know how good he is. He's won a Daytona 500 before. Rod, I gave all those stats. That's what made it in the USA Today, right? Is, this for RCR, that for RCR, this for RCR. Who's the other RCR driver? Maybe it doesn't all point to Kyle Busch. Maybe it's pointing to Austin Dillon. But yeah, 33rd starting place. Great. That's a lot of upside, not too much downside. I love Austin Dillon. I'd like to put him in here if you're good with that.
Yeah, and I was going to agree with you on all those points. And listen, the 33rd, there are some cars that are 33rd that you say, no, thank you. And there's some cars that are 37th that you say, no thank you to. But there are cars that are in that 30 range, which you definitely need to start putting in lineups, because those are the cars that are going to be at the top of the pack by the end of this race. And Austin Dillon is definitely one of those. Obviously, we're talking about a guy in 37th that will not put in the lineup because he will not make his way toward the front. And so, to me, this is definitely a gamble worth taking. And like you said, Cody, this is a guy that maybe not a lot of Millie Maker builders are going to be on, because they're going to be looking elsewhere. They're going to look for the sexier names, the ones that they recognize even more than Austin Dillon, which it's weird to say, but
and Dillon, he doesn't get the respect he deserves on super speedways ever. And he's won at Daytona the 500. He's won in the fall where he casts like a 35-1 for us in that aforementioned race where there's only 6 cars left. But he's been really good at it. He can do it. He's won other races too. And just a guy that's consistently slept on. His week-to-week performance isn't always there. Coming off a bad season, this would be a really good spot. Potentially his last Daytona 500, maybe the last year he's racing full-time. Some rumors out there. You never know. So, I think he's a really good play. We only got one spot left, and we haven't even – we spent a lot of money at the top, Rod. I think we did this backwards.
I think we did. But here's the thing. It's okay. Because I'll tell you what, right now, we have that one spot left, but it's kind of like the best of the rest at this point, because when you look at the starting positions for some of these guys down here below Austin Dillon, we're talking, Reagan starting 40th, which I think you're going to love, right? That's probably where
he's
you're
going to be so isn't he going to be super chalky though, because he started last?
Yeah.
But there's no downside. He can't finish any worse than he starts. He just could not score any points basically, but that's kind of a positive here. So he is a good play. I do think he's going to be really popular. So makes me pump the brakes a little bit. Probably the type of guy you really want in like a cash lineup. You're just playing in a small group, that type of thing. You probably want to look for him a lot just because he's a very safe play, which is a good thing you want here. You don't necessarily need the maximum. And obviously I talked about him earlier in the week. I love him, and I think he can have a great finish. So he could be definitely a type of guy that rocket ships your day for sure.
Yeah, and really, when you're looking through these names at the back of the pack, I'm just gonna call out a couple which I think are traps, and that's Carson Hocevar in 9th place right now at 5,900. I get it, but
his rostership is going to be. Yeah, but his rostership is going to be 0. Nobody's going to have him. That's why I don't know. I need to play with this some more. That might be the perfect guy that could win you the $1 million, Rod.
It very much could. But does he make it in this lineup? That's the question.
Not in this lineup, I don't think.
Okay,
but
that's what I thought.
Again, there's a case to be made for all of these people for sure. We could go through and talk about each one. I think AJ Allmendinger is a guy that really jumps off the board. He's starting 28th. A guy that I really love this weekend, 6th and 3rd in his last 2 500s. He's got 5 races in a row inside the top 5 at Daytona in the Xfinity Series. Everybody thinks he's a road course guy. They're all going to be surprised when he shows up at the end of this race. Obviously, Corey LaJoie starting 29th is a guy I'm going to be playing a lot. I understand if you don't want to put him in this lineup. I'm okay with that. I do think Corey might be a little more popular. I've heard it's a little bit sad, Rod. I was one of the very first on the Corey LaJoie train years ago. 250
you beat
to
the
1
drum too hard, man. You beat the drum too
now
hard.
Everybody, Dale Jr. thinks he's going to win. It's like, come on, guys. Pick your own drivers. No. I love all the love for Corey, but I do think he'll be a little more popular. So I do think you have to take that into consideration. But I think he'll be really good as well. Yeah, Riley Herbst, 36th.
That's the guy. One thinking.
Yeah, okay, done. Riley Herbst is in because he started really far back at 36. He's really cheap. But a lot of people, they're going to have money left over. They're not going to want to dip that far down. You've got other really big names starting around him. If you've been watching the stuff, they barely got his car fixed enough in time for practice today. People are going to be worried about it. Not worried about it at all. Rick Ware cars are just fine on super speedways. Riley's really good. Love him this weekend in both races. So yeah, I think he's a good guy to plug in. So Rod, we did leave 3,300 on the table. So we did a good job of leaving some money. We got Chastain, Dillon, Hamlin, Herbst, Johnson, and Bubba Wallace. So we end up with 3 Toyotas, 2 Chevrolets, 1 Ford to fill out that lineup.
Hey, again, there is no wrong answer on this track. There is no wrong construction. There is no, if you put together something that looks completely different from this, then we cannot fault you. There were tons of drivers that we didn't talk about, but again, we only have a limited amount of time to cram all this in. We're not gonna overload you with names. So this is a very we think it's a well constructed Millie Maker lineup for what it's worth.
And again, like we walked through a lot of the guys, gave what cases you can go for them, what cases you don't. You look at a guy like Alfredo in 39th, he's probably not going to be very popular. That's another really high upside play. Voldemort in 37th. I won't personally be playing him. He might not even make the hat list. He might not even go into the hat to be picked. Harrison Burton in 12th. Nobody is going to play Harrison Burton. But I don't know. He looked good in the duels last night. So, I don't know. If he stays away from Austin Cindric, I think those guys might have it out if they get next to each other again. But, it's hard to find any really not great plays. There's a few guys like Kaz Gralla is a guy I really don't want much on. 26th. I don't feel like there's a lot of high upside there. I don't know. Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar are both starting. You mentioned Hocevar earlier. I was kind of joking, but those guys, it's a really tough path for them to pay off too much. They're going to be low rostered, so differential plays. I don't know. I don't know that there's really anyone else we need to highlight too much.
No, I think we've covered it all, and we're getting close to truck time, so I think we should get everybody out the door so they can start making some truck bets and enjoy this truck race, because it may be the only one we enjoy on Saturday and Sunday. So, all right, Cody. Well, let's head out the door. Let's go ahead and close Friday out on a positive note and have some fun watching the races now.
Old-fashioned football wants to know who the dirtiest driver in racing is. That could be taken a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson could be. He races a lot of dirt tracks. So
yeah,
if you're looking that way,
one that doesn't take a shower the most.
Him. Who's the stinky driver? I don't know.
Well, you got to ask the guys in the garage. All right. Anyways, Cody, as we go out the door, tell everybody where they can find all of your fantastic award-winning, credentialed-winning work out there on the internet.
I don't know if there's been any awards handed out just yet, but Justin meant who's bumping too much. You can ask the drivers. There's going to be some different opinions on who the worst drafter is, but a couple of Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin comments, who knows? But anyways, no awards yet, Rod, but you can find my work over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. Ton of stuff today. I've got a couple articles out for Sports Gambling Podcast. Like I mentioned, a couple shows. I got another VSiN spot tomorrow afternoon. Be tweeting about that. You can check me out there. It's been a fun week. Thank you, everyone, for hanging on this week. Have some fun. I'll drop the DFS in the Discord right now. There's a DFS game for the truck race tonight. If you want to get in on that, we'll have the Daytona 500 over there. We'll have the Xfinity tomorrow. Go have some fun. Sweat some DFS lineups. If you win the $1 million, don't forget who your favorite podcast hosts are. Hit us up later. And let's go. Daytona 500 racing. Buggity, buggity, buggity.
Hells yeah. Find me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, whether it's in between media. I got a Daytona piece up there on Sportsbook Review right now, so go check that out as well. A lot of fun this week. We'll do it again next week when we recap the Daytona 500 and get you set up for all the fun that is Atlanta. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. It's race weekend. Until we see you next time, let's go racing and let it ride.